What is happening? SteelerNation, what is happening? What is happening? How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing well. Look at this. Looks like I put on an extra medium shirt. It's supposed to be an extra large, but this don't necessarily seem like one. You know what happens, man? Sidetrack. You can't really dry every t-shirt. That's just a pro tip for you fellas out there. You can't. Sometimes you find those nice ones that you can throw in the dryer and it's just fine. But some shirts, you got to be careful, especially when you're buying t-shirts like these, like sports apparel. Sometimes they don't make those t-shirts out of the best quality. And you buy it one size, you dry it, it's a size smaller. It's crazy. But anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. What's happening, man? Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday, episode 150. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the Steel Basement. And soon the Steel Basement will have a little more decoration, but bear with me until that happens. But what's going on, man? Got some very interesting, not really, not too many heavy topics. It's kind of all going to ball up into one, but got a couple interesting things to get into. So I'm going to jump right into them here, if you will. I'm going to say hello to the early commenters. Let's do that really quick, and then we'll have at it. Let's see what we got here. We have Robert. Is it Goetchenauer? Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Brent Fox. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Give me a quick second, guys. I'm hearing some activity. Excuse me. Let me take a peek in my driveway. Got the new security system now. See what's out there. I hear some noise. One second. I know I just heard something. All right, I think we're good. My wife just headed out. She went to go get my son. He's over at his aunt's house. But all right, let's get into it. Let's continue with the hellos. Brent Fox, C. Antoine Hill. Hello, Miss Lanisha. How you doing? How you doing tonight, Miss Lady? Hope you're well. Happy to see you like always. Kev So Fun. Jack Bauer, my man Y Diggy, Jared Devil. Hello, Miss Sade in the building. Happy to see you as well, fellas. Don't forget to take time and say hello to our lovely ladies. Please do that. Don't forget. Steeler Lee, JJ Walker, Ron Simpson Gaming. What's going on, buddy? Who else we got up in here? Donnie Underwood. Who else? Darren Tresla, Eric McDuffie, Patrick Lodge, and a few others. I'm just gonna say this really quick, guys, and we're gonna move on to the Steelers stuff. I know Antoine Hill is hurt. Antoine is hurting like I would say like me, but listen, I told y'all, I never have the highest hopes for my 76ers. In my tenure of watching my 76ers, I've seen us get to the finals one time with one of my favorite players of all time, Allen Iverson. They won in LA, game one, the infamous Allen Iverson step over on Tyronn Lue. And guess who was still, even way back then, guess who still was sitting there like, I'm not too excited. Because I knew there was no way in the world that we were going to beat Kobe and Shaq. Come on. And ever since then, it's the same story with the Sixers. It's like they get close. But I told you guys last week, I did not trust the Celtics series. And they needed to close it out when they were up 3-2 in Philly. That was your best chance. That was the best chance. They didn't do it. So now they're at home, just like me. And there you have it. But all right, man, let's get into it. Let's see what I got on the docket. Give me 2 seconds. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody is well. I know you guys are probably curious as to what I'm referring to with my me talking about I have a question for SteelerNation. I'll let you guys know what that is in a moment. But first, let's just talk about a few of these roster moves, man. Let's talk about a few of these roster moves. Let me pull up my notes, man. I should have been a little more prepared. And by the way, before I even dive into it, let me ask you guys a question and see how y'all feel about it. I'm thinking about permanently changing the start time of the show to 8 o'clock, even though I was even a little late tonight by about 5 minutes. How do you guys feel about that? I'm thinking about permanently changing the start time of the show to 8 p.m. versus 7:30. 8 p.m. seems to be a little better for me because, again, you guys know the story, but I will say it for those who don't. You know, I commute on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I live in Pennsylvania, a place called York, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour shy of Baltimore. And my home office is in Washington, D.C. I have to go there twice a week. Really, I only have to go once a week, but my entire team is there twice a week. And, you know, being a manager, you know, I just bite the bullet and I go in there with them twice a week. But because of that, in case any of you guys are unfamiliar, there's a lot of traffic in what's called the DMV area. The DMV consists of areas where it touches Virginia, Maryland, and DC. You know, for most of you guys who are from the DMV area, you'll know what I'm referring to. Mostly PG County. So when I leave Washington, D.C. at 4 o'clock, yeah, my job closes at 5, but I leave at 4 to try to get ahead of traffic. Still takes me over 2 hours to get home. Traffic is insane sometimes. Today, I actually didn't get home until about 10 minutes to 7. So it makes it impossible sometimes for me to do a couple of things I have to do around the house, eat and all of that, and then be on at 7:30. I decided, you know, telling my wife today as we're eating dinner, I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to change the time to 8 o'clock. It just gives me a little time to decompress in case it's a later travel evening. So there's the backstory. How do you guys feel about that? Let me see what y'all got in the chat. How's 8 o'clock? Does that work for everybody? You know, because again, I know and I appreciate you guys. Some of you guys, you know, treat Terrible Towel Tuesday like a TV show, and you look forward to it coming on at the time that you expect. So if 7:30 is better for everyone, listen, I'll do my best to try to make 7:30 work. But I'm thinking about moving it to 8 o'clock. So if you guys can just give me your opinion on that, I see some of you are saying it works. All right, so I think that's just what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna try my best to start at 8 o'clock. Unless, life happens, right? So, all right, let's get into the topics. First thing I want to talk about is, I wanted to save this until later in the show, but I think we got to get right to it. Some of y'all know why I'm laughing. Hold on, let me get a sip of water before I choke. What is it that I always tell you guys, man? Don't I always tell y'all? Be careful what you wish for, or maybe that doesn't apply for this situation. But a lot of times I tell you, listen, man, don't burn bridges when it comes to players. Don't be so eager to trash people, and don't be so confident in saying that you know how the coaching staff feels and the organization, and you kick people down the steps and throw them out with the bathwater. What is it that I always tell you guys, man? You just never know what is on the minds of the Steelers organization, number one, and the players, number two. And just when you guys thought it was over, I'm going to troll just a little bit. I'm just letting y'all know, trigger warning. This is a trigger warning for some of you guys. There's this guy that is currently on the roster who's a backup quarterback going into his second season with the Steelers. His name is Mitch Trubisky, right? And so many people already have been saying they need to get rid of Mitch. Y'all know who you are. Oh, they need to get rid of Trubisky. Oh, we don't need him. Yada, yada, yada. I said, okay, but listen, there's only 2 quarterbacks in the contract. You know, Mason Rudolph is going to go off the free agency, right? I had been saying that. He's going to go off the free agency. And you only have 2 guys. You want to keep at least a veteran behind Kenny. They're not going to draft a guy. They're probably bringing a guy as a UDFA. Probably not even going to bring in a true free agent. So what do? They bring in a guy as a UDFA. They keep Trubisky. But then all of a sudden, your worst nightmare happens. Yes, Mason Rudolph is back in the building. Yes. Some of you guys probably are panicking right now because you didn't know that. Because not everybody watches all the news all day and look at sites. And so I'm here to tell you guys that the main guy that y'all wanted out of that building, I mean, oh, good riddance. He is back in a Steeler uniform. Mason Rudolph has re-signed with your beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. How do you guys feel about that? Listen. Let me try to be serious for a moment. The reindeer is back. Before Christmas. Man, I thought we only saw reindeers in December. Here's what's funny, right? And not so funny, but I wish I had a violin music to play, because I'm going to show some compassion for Mason Rudolph. I am. I'm going to show a little compassion for this guy. And I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say, I actually feel bad for Mason Rudolph. Let me turn my mic up a little bit. I don't know why it's down. I actually feel bad for Mason Rudolph, guys. I do. Because here's the thing. You got drafted behind a Hall of Famer. The Hall of Famer had no intention of slowing down at that moment. The Hall of Famer and Ben Roethlisberger was pissed that you were drafted. And drafted in the 3rd round, I might add. Hold that thought. Let's give Kev So Fun a round of applause. And I will finish. Thank you for the donation, my brother. I really appreciate that. He's talking about basketball. Let's be quick. We got to get that out of here, even though I know I started it. He says, Sim, as a Celtic fan, I'm not going to talk trash, but I didn't see Tatum scoring 51, and my day was ruined when two re-signs, so we have two. Oh, okay, 2 re-signs, and we have 2 average backups. Pickett. Yeah, really quick on the Tatum thing, man. And if my father-in-law Leonard is in here, he's my witness. We have another family member who is a Celtics fan, right? And we were all at a little cookout, and I was like, I'm not even gonna watch that game because I know what's gonna happen, right? And I told him, I said, man, Tatum gonna score 50 today. Scored 51. How did I know that? I don't know. I just felt that the Celtics were not gonna allow themselves to lose a game 7 at home. And there you have it. But yeah, as far as the backups, man, it is what it is, man. I mean, let's see what happens with Trubisky now. You never know. Maybe he's a tradable piece or something. You know, maybe they try to get underneath, from under that contract. You never know. Maybe they're comfortable with Rudolph. And the other guy, who they bring in? Tanner, somebody. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But, I will say this. If the Steelers are in need for cap space, keep your eyes on Trubisky. Keep your eyes on Trubisky. But here's the thing. Let me get back to Rudolph, man. Feel bad for him because, like I said, Hall of Fame quarterback and Ben Roethlisberger didn't show any welcoming arms when you got drafted. I mean, publicly came out and said, I just felt like we could have did something else there. Basically saying, look, I'm still playing. Why did we waste the 3rd round pick on him? Could have, yeah, rightfully so. We could honestly say Ben might have had a point at that moment. Even though I do remember we had 3 3rd round picks two 3rd round picks, because if I'm not mistaken, that was when we drafted also James Conner with one of those picks, right? Wasn't he the 3rd or the 2nd 3rd round pick? Do I got that right? I don't think Conner might have been in the 4th, but I'm thinking he was 3rd because James Washington was the 2nd round pick. Then it was Rudolph. And wasn't it Conner? Was it Conner? Was he 3rd or 4th? I don't remember, but you guys get the gist of it. Oh, it was Chooks. There you go. Appreciate that, Steelers cards. I couldn't remember if Conner was the 4th or 3rd. Got you. Appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, the quarterback is saying the current quarterback, who's a Hall of Fame quarterback, saying, man, we ain't need to pick that dude. No welcoming arms, right? You know you're not gonna play, right? So you sit around. Ben Roethlisberger is well known now that Ben Roethlisberger is going to retire. Mind you, keep in mind, Mason Rudolph and his agent decided to re-sign and do a contract extension with the Steelers going into his final season. And I said then, this is weird. Why would you do that? Why would you do an extension now going into your final season? Unless the Steelers have really been stroking your ego saying, look, man, we're going to make you the starter. Ben is leaving after next year, whatever the case may be. But I thought that was crazy because in my opinion, I'm saying, look, go to free agency. Don't come back and play for the Steelers. Go to free agency now or let that year play out. Let that year play out. See what they got to say at the end of that season and then go into free agency. Or see if they offer you a deal then, knowing it was Ben's last year. But no, you didn't do that. You extended before that season started. So Ben Roethlisberger retires and Mason Rudolph is probably feeling like, all right, now I can show what I got. And I mean, one of the first times that most of us here have seen it. The Steelers were beyond active during the free agency tampering period. They won't waste no time, and they go and get Mitch Trubisky. What does that say to Mason Rudolph? So not only do they get Mitch Trubisky, they draft Kenny Pickett with their first pick of the draft. Feel bad for the kid. Fast forward to now, clearly there was no market for him. Okay? I don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Clearly there was zero market for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Zero. It is now May the 16th. Free agency began in mid-March. Mason Rudolph has found his way back to Pittsburgh. That tells you right there, zero market. Because he has to be coming into this thing knowing one of two things. The Steelers have gave him the wink wink and said, listen, you're going to be the number 2 because they had plans with Trubisky. That might not be the case. But more than likely, they told him, we like you to come back and we like to go into the season with the same group that we had last season. Kenny at 1, Mitch at 2. Oh no. They told him that he can battle it out with Trubisky for the backup spot. That's what they told him. Round of applause to Steeler Lee for the donation. Appreciate you. Yeah, they said number 2. Yeah, that's kind of what he is, man. Number 2 should have went the XFL or USFL route. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, clearly, listen. He thought his market was bigger than it was, man. Like I said, I feel bad for the guy. I do. I have no beef with Rudolph. And actually, I will give him his name. You know why? Because Mason Rudolph has never really been the guy in Pittsburgh. He played in spurts. And there were some games that he played decent. There were some games he didn't play decent. He hasn't played enough for me to take his name away. So I'll just call him Mason Rudolph, but I definitely understand the sentiment of calling him number 2. For those of you who are new to the show and never been here before, we reduce players to their number when they don't show up. Recent history will show you guys like Kendrick Green, he is now number 53. A little earlier before that, guys like Bud Dupree, before his last season, he was number 48. and that's how it goes. That's how it goes here. This is what we do here. It's all in fun. But we allow guys to start off with their name. They turn into a star, or they drop all the way down to not even having a name. They're just a jag, just another guy, and we call them by their number. So that's why some people here are calling Rudolph number 2. Like I said, I won't reduce him to that yet, only because he's never been the man in Pittsburgh. But I definitely understand the sentiment. Yeah, so there you have it, man. Mason Rudolph is back. Listen, like I said, I feel for the guy. He tried to get away from the situation. Like, you know how humbling it is to have to come back home? Gotta come back. You know, with your head down, tail tucked between your legs, like, man, humbling, bro. Humbling ain't even a word. Like, wow. But hey, hate it or love it, as of right now, your quarterbacks for the Pittsburgh Steelers are 1, Kenny Pickett, 2, Mitchell Trubisky, 3, Mason Rudolph, and maybe that order will flip-flop. We'll see. Maybe Trubisky gets traded. We'll see. Or, you know, maybe he gets cut. We'll see. But as of right now, it's the exact same 3 quarterbacks that you would expect that we had last year will be the guys that are going to be on this team this coming season. The next thing on the docket, I want to talk about Steelers out there still making moves, man. And that's pretty much my main topic of the night. And I'm going to answer that question that I have in the title of the show, saying that I have a real question for SteelerNation. Something that I think we really need to pay attention to, man, that is becoming extremely apparent to me. Let's talk about a little bit of the moves really quick. Steelers have officially signed Hakeem Butler. Most of you who watch football and understand football would already know this. You know that the Steelers were interested in bringing him in for rookie minicamp, and boom, you know who he is. Big time, you know, big, tall receiver, you know, height, weight, and speed guy like Tomlin likes to call him. Coming out of college, you guys remember him, went to the Cardinals. I guess he, you know, honestly, I didn't follow his career. I just know he didn't last long. I don't know if it was injury-based or what have you, but he kind of fell out of the NFL from the Cardinals. He found himself in the XFL, and he was if I believe I got this correct, I think he was like the top receiver. Somebody can correct me there, but I think he was like the number 1 guy, showed off in the XFL. Steelers showed interest in him, but now they have offered him a contract, and he is signed. You know, he will be a part of the 90-man roster. I think the roster is a little tight, but we'll see. You know, competition, it's a theme that we keep hearing from Omar, Weidl, and Tomlin. They're going to bring in as much competition as possible, and the best 53 is going to be the best 53. And here's another thing that I'm feeling confident about already. You know, as long as the players agree to it, I think the Steelers are also going to have a pretty solid practice squad the way these guys are approaching it. You know, I think a lot of these guys that don't make it will be potential practice squad guys who are like fringe guys. So imagine having a guy like Butler on the practice squad. How long he would last there, I don't know, but I'm just saying. So he has a chance. He has a chance. We'll see what happens. But you know, why not take a chance on the height, weight, and speed guy? Why not? So I don't have a real beef with that. Not at all. I'm just thinking about the potential of throwing those big bodies out there, man. You know, you just think about George Pickens, Allen Robinson, Hakeem Butler, you know, Darnell Washington. Like, come on, man. There's big bodies out there. Try your move. I just think about the potential of us being big and just overpowering teams. Imagine throwing, again, I don't know if he could play it, but imagine you doing something silly like putting Butler in the slot or something, even if he ain't running no route. Like, you know, even if he's not running the route tree from the slot, kind of like Chase Claypool, but imagine using Hakeem Butler as Chase Claypool. Let him run those routes from the slot. with that size and Pickens on the outside, Deontay on the other side. Then you can rotate that in, bring Robinson in. Like, it could get a little nutty out there. Just talking potential. I don't know what Butler is or isn't going to be. I'm just saying potential. That's all I could do right now. Let's see what else we got. Steelers also signed a running back from rookie minicamp. Running back Alfonso Graham. Not familiar with him at all. I'm just reporting the news. Keep your eyes on that. Seeing that they're signing a running back. I wonder what's going to happen with guys like Master Teague. I'm just curious to see how that's going to play out, because again, the reason why I'm paying so much attention to this, obviously we know who the head guy is Najee. But remember last year, where did Jaylen Warren come from? UDFA, and he is the number 2 running back. So now that we're not so certain who the 3 is, I am keeping my eyes on anyone in camp that is a running back. Whether it's UDFA, rookie mini camp, tryout, whatever, I'm going to keep my eyes on any running backs that are signed or brought into camp by the Pittsburgh Steelers, because one of these guys could be another Jaylen Warren story. You never know. They might end up on the roster. So very interested in seeing how that plays out. Steelers also claimed Manny Jones, a defensive lineman, off of waivers from the Cardinals. Can't sit here and lie to you and say I'm familiar with him. I'm not familiar with the name because, again, I watch football like you guys do. I watch all teams, but do I watch enough Cardinals to know how he's been? Absolutely not. But again, Steelers continuing to bring in competition, even though they did lose Rennell Wynn. He was placed on IR, and it was interesting. I didn't read the full article, but I saw that they said ending his career. So I wonder, I don't know how significant his injury is, but I'm wondering if that was just a clickbaity type of title or if it's a legit thing. So I got to go back and check the article. But like I said, guys, me trying to speed through my research before I start the show, getting home at 10 minutes to 7, haven't had time to dive into too much of that stuff to get the facts for you. But I'm sure this is a lot of stuff that you guys have either heard, or now that you've heard it, you can go kind of research it for yourself. The last thing I want to talk about, man, and I'm keeping my eyes on this as well. Omar Khan and Andy Weidl are not playing with competition. Supposedly, Quan Alexander, visited the Steelers yesterday. They said he was going to visit on Monday, which was yesterday. Haven't heard any news yet. But man, let me tell you something. One thing that I'm starting to appreciate, not even starting, I've been appreciating, man, the way Omar Khan and Weidl are working, and I'm always going to include Weidl because he's the assistant GM. These guys are not playing any games. From free agency to the draft to now some of these signings that are happening post-draft, they're still looking. I love this. And the move that these guys are making is what prompted my question. And I'm going to get to it here in just a second. Then we'll get to the calls. I love what these dudes are doing. Man, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I have any complaints from the Weidl and Khan connection so far. And Tomlin, I'm sure he's consulted. I don't know if I got any complaints. Wait, somebody says, according to Steelers Talk. Okay, you said you heard he signed. Yeah, I mean, he may have. I just haven't seen anything official yet. So it may have been one of these. Wink, wink, why they, find a spot for him. I think the Steelers were close to their 90-man spot. So it could be one of those things. Hey, we're going to sign you. We agree in principle. And then they're going to try to figure out where they're going to, how they're going to adjust the roster. So I don't know. I just haven't seen anything official. But listen, I'm with that. Yeah, I didn't think so either, Kenya. I'm with that if it happens, man. Listen, again, I've seen a little bit of Quan more. I mean, obviously I know Quan Alexander and what he was. But I always try to judge guys on how they currently play. Seen a few games, obviously, when we played them, but I can't say I watched the entire season of him. So now, definitely, if he signs, I'm going to go take a look. I've been doing that too. I'm just holding my reporting on some of these players until I got a good collective to come back and talk to you guys about. Kenyon got me watching the Penn State Purdue game as well, where you'll be able to see both Trice and Joy Porter Jr. So just throwing that out there for anybody who wants to do that. You can see both of them in one game. But listen, I'm extremely happy and ecstatic that they're still trying to address that inside linebacker position, man. I love it. I'm cool with if Cole Holcomb can be what I saw him be in Washington in his formidable years. Roberts, I think, would be. Roberts to me would kind of be sort of Vince Williams-ish. A guy that's probably going to be very good at the run and being able to hit and stuff like that. I don't know how great he is in coverage. I did see Steelers Depot. One of them, I think, did a study on it. So I want to look at that article. They did a contextualization of both Holcomb and Landon Roberts in coverage. So I want to check that out and see, because again, I don't know. I didn't watch Roberts extremely crazy last year. I mean, he was with the Dolphins, but again, I don't watch players so intently from other teams. If I'm watching Monday Night Football or whatever it is, and their name pops up, I'm like, oh, that guy's getting off. But I don't study them like I study our guys. You know what I mean? So a lot of film that I still need to watch to kind of get a feel of what these guys can do for us. But having those two guys, grooming Mark Robinson and bringing in another veteran like a Quan Alexander, dog, I'm good with that. Like, I'm beyond good with that. And I just like the mentality from these GMs, the main guy being Khan. I love it. And now let me get to my question, man, so I can open it up to phone calls and get out of here. Here's a question I have for SteelerNation. How do I phrase this? Can we solely put the team building and how it has been constructed over the last, let's say 5 years, 6 years, if you want to say that, maybe longer, but I'm just going to keep it a little relative. Can we put that squarely on Kevin Colbert's shoulders? Do you still view Mike Tomlin as a culprit on the roster? Let me explain what I'm saying. Love Kevin Colbert, man. I think Kevin Colbert was an outstanding GM. Just his approach as far as how him as a person. Think we made some great picks under his tenure. We also, I felt like, we were able to dumpster dive and sometimes get gems out of those guys. Kevin Colbert has Super Bowls under his resume. Cannot take that away from him. But here's the question. Why has it been so different this offseason? I want you guys to keep in mind that Omar Khan has been here the whole time. He was the numbers guy, cap guy. He was the guy that told Kevin Colbert, yeah, you can go dumpster dive for this guy. We'll make it work. He was the guy that, figured out, yeah, we can make the numbers work for Minka. We can make the numbers work for TJ Watt. Yeah, we can make the numbers work for Joe Hayden. Let's go get him. We can do voidable years. All of that, all of the numbers crunching stuff and finagling the cap, the restructuring. Omar Khan. So he's been here for the entire ride, pretty much. However, why are the moves so different this year? With him at the helm, him being the GM and having Andy Weidl as an assistant, and then obviously Mike Tomlin as well. So it makes me look at how drastic this change is. Now, who knows? Maybe the change is coming from up top. I don't know. I'm just putting it in perspective as far as what we can see with our own eyes. We didn't see this out of Kevin Colbert. We saw a little bit of it starting to change a couple years ago. You go back to like the Devin Bush trade up and stuff like that. A little bit. The signing of what's my guy's name? Steven Nelson. They traditionally didn't do that. Saw a little bit of it. But what we have seen Colbert and Weidl do together as a GM tandem, we didn't see that out of Kevin Colbert. And it's changed just like that. Remember, Omar Khan in his first press conference was like, yeah, I got some of my own ideas. It's going to be a lot of what we know, what we do, but I got some tricks up my sleeve. I got some of my own ideas. He's aggressive. And again, he's being consulted by another guy who GM experience pretty much, and Weidl and Tomlin. That trio seems to be moving in a totally different style. Very interesting, right? Very interesting. So that bears my question. Do we have to put how the team has been handled over the last several years squarely on Kevin Colbert's shoulders? Again, it's hard to criticize Colbert because Colbert got Super Bowls, brother. He got Super Bowls, buddy. Colbert has been there for the long haul. If I'm not mistaken, my math could be off, but wasn't Colbert there when they took Ben? I think so. Colbert did his job, just like Kenyon just said. So I just wanted to throw that question out there, man. That's a real question. I want you guys to evaluate that. How do you feel about that? Seeing this tremendous change in just this first season, off season of Khan being in the head chair. Interesting, right? I just had to stop and think about that, man, today. And I was like, wow. So I guess we are starting to see behind the curtain a little bit and seeing who really was in control of a lot of these things, because obviously now that Khan and assistant Weidl is in the driver's seat, them boys driving. They on some ludicrous, some move, get out the way. Like, they not playing. They not playing. So ponder on that for a bit, man. I'm just curious to see how you guys think about that. And we're going to grab some phone calls. We're going to grab some phone calls if there are any. And then we'll wrap this one up. Yeah, we got a couple phone calls in here, man. So far, we got 3. So we'll start off with the first one. We got area code 318. What you got for us?
Whoa, what's up, Bob?
What's going on?
Nothing much, just chilling. First, just want to show love to the podcast. I always call in, but, I'd like to show love. But, you touching on everything about free agency. I was a little, not shocked, but, kind of surprised that Mason Rudolph come back. I feel like, he would want a better opportunity somewhere else. But, I mean, he wouldn't be bad as a backup or a third string. And, basically how you say, with Omar Khan, he's hate to say it, yeah, he's hell of aggressive, man. Like, I like the moves, man. Like I said, we getting back to that bully ball, man. Like you said, man, we bringing the meat out. So, I'm glad to see those changes. And I got a question for you, man. It's kind of like knowing what you know now. Would you resign? Would you have gave Javon Hargrave that contract instead of Stephon Tuitt back then? Just want to know your thoughts on that. And I called last week about Caleb Williams, and I said I feel like he has that Russell Wilson factor. Like I said, no disrespect to Mr. King, and I know he watched football. We just had different takes on football. That's all, Lunk. You have a good night.
Yeah, man, appreciate you calling, and that's absolutely fine, man. I hope everybody caught what he said there. We all can disagree, there's no issue. Him and Kenyon is just as cool as I don't know what, here in the chat. So we all can have our own opinions of because we all are different. We view things different. I like a player that you don't like. You like a player that I don't like. That's just how it works sometimes. And then there's this commonality that we can all see and be like, all right, we can identify that. So, but also what you said, man, that's a loaded question. Wow. I mean, of course, if we had that information, yeah, I probably would give Hargrave the contract, man. But is tough because honestly, if we're being honest, right, just from a football standpoint, Stephon Tuitt fit better in our system than Javon Hargrave ever was, right? Hargrave played the nose for us. Later on, this latter part of his career with us, we started bringing him out there and allowing him to be in the interior D tackle and sub package. And he was quick. He could get you a couple sacks here and there. But just think about when Stephon Tuitt was at his best, even though I know we didn't really see him finish whole seasons. But I still just go back to that season, man, against San Francisco, the Niners out in San Fran. Stephon was eating. Like when Stephon Tuitt was on his game and he was healthy, him and Cam together, just imagine that. All right, so imagine that. Imagine a healthy Stephon Tuitt today with Cam, with Highsmith of last season and TJ. Yeah. So I definitely understand why they went with Tuitt because, like I said, he's better equipped for the scheme. And this is why I think Hargrave is getting off better. He was getting off in Philly because that kind of fit his style a little better than our defense. So, yeah. But I understand where you're going with that one, though. Next up, area code 651. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up with you, Sam?
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. As far as the Trubisky and Rudolph situation, I think when Trubisky tricked off that game in Baltimore toward the end of the season, that was it for him. They just couldn't let him go right then. And now that Rudolph has made his way back, I guarantee you, they said, look, if you get him out of here, it's your job, man. And Rudolph didn't get any offers. He said, hey, we let you go to see what worked out for you. Nothing came back. Come on back in here and see can you take Trubisky's spot. And I don't think they want him there anymore because how was it? 3 interceptions? Was it 4? What was it? But you can't put him back out there. There's no point if that's what he does in a situation like that. As far as that new running back, I remember last year around this time, I called it because they signed Jalen Warren. The first thing I said is, wow, they signed to a 3-year deal, huh? Same thing has happened with this kid. So I don't know if that's going to be like a special team situation where like we want a good returner that can build on here or what. But a 3-year deal for undrafted rookie doesn't have. I don't think it happens a lot. I don't remember seeing it a lot. Yeah. But last year Jalen Warren did the same thing. The last thing was the question that you asked. I feel like, yeah, Tomlin and Colbert worked together, but I felt like Colbert was over him, which we know general managers are over coaches, but I feel like being that it was Weidl's first year and it was Khan's first year, I think it was more of a collaborative effort than it was with Colbert. I think he had more say. One of the things in Weidl's interview, he said that we found it, we realized or found what players Tomlin liked. I've never heard Colbert say that. Like, not saying that he does it, but the fact that he said, we found that we know the players that Tomlin likes. We would have found something that worked for the system, and and I'm like, okay. So I think it was a more collaborative effort than it was before. And picking up these guys, another thing that I see with Khan, he signed a lot of 2-year deals, 2-year, 3 at the most, but a lot of 2-year deals. So it's like, even if it doesn't work out, hey, he's out of here pretty quick, and we're not tying up a lot of money for 5 and 6 years for these guys. So I think that's also smart. But that's all I got.
Man, great call. You brought up a really good point there, man. He sure enough said it, man. You right. That's why I always tell people, like, yo, man, go check out some of these interviews and press conferences because some of them, they give you some information if you really listen. He sure enough did say, we went out and got the players that Tomlin liked. And then Weidl went even further to say, they had a meeting, him and Khan, to, figure out what coach liked and the staff liked. And that's who we sought out. We went and got those players. And like you said, maybe Colbert felt like that, but we sure enough have never heard those actual words. So you bring out a good point, man. And that's what I was kind of alluding to, man. When I said, how much involvement did Tomlin really have? And of course, Tomlin has always been involved. But again, Sometimes the GM feels like that's what they're paid to do, is to be the general manager. And they're going to make the pick that they want. And they're going to shop for the players that they want, so it definitely just seems like Weidl and Khan have a totally different approach. And I mean, we're seeing it in year one. So interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. Next up, area code 951. What you got for us?
Hey, Sam. Hey, man. What's up? Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Hey, just real quick, I have a question / dilemma for you. The offense right now, as we speak, on paper, I know training camp hasn't started yet, but just on paper, man, with GP, DJ, Fire Move, Najee, you throw in Allen Robinson, and you can't forget about, Calvin Austin. He didn't get a chance to really show us anything last year as far as preseason. But with all these guys supposedly coming back on healthy, and I know this is a tough question depending on, how Matt Canada gets down. But who do you think is going to get an opportunity to eat more? You know what I mean? Who do you think the defensive coordinators are going to – because there's only so much attention you can pay attention to, as far as your outside guys, your number one tight end. But you throw in people like you throw in people like Washington, and you throw in Calvin Austin. I mean, there's got to be mismatches somewhere that you can be able to take advantage. And not to mention the impact of run game, which I'm assuming is going to be the number one focus. You throw that play action in. Who do you think, and I'm going to specify with you, man, out of the receivers, and I'm including the tight ends in that too as receivers. Who do you think is going to have an opportunity to eat more in this offense? I know it's a tough question because it's still early, but just a little guesstimate. Thanks for taking my call, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for calling. I love this question, man. I love these. Now we all talking. Like we really sitting around a campfire and like, hey, man, how do you think this is going to go? And I love these type of discussions. Honestly. Now, some people might say this is an easy one because it might be their same person, but it's not so easy. And I'm going to explain why I say this guy. I actually think it's George Pickens. Now, the reason why some people might not agree with that, because some people are going to say, man, they saw what George Pickens could do last year in spurts. Teams are going to definitely want to defense that and, pay more attention to him. Okay. And then people are going to say, well, he might become the number one, and whatever the theory may be. But here's the reason why I say it's George Pickens. I think Deontay Johnson is still the number one, which means Pickens is going to be at Z. He's not going to be the X. This is just my assumption. But I think teams are going to have to pay so much attention to our interior, slot, and tight end. Allen Robinson. Calvin Austin, if we want to get cute and throw him at slot, he can play outside too. Remember, he played outside in college. Well, let's just say we're going to use him as a trick guy, like a McLeod type. Put him in the slot. Got to pay attention to him. You got to pay attention to Donnell Washington. Pat Fryermuth. I think, Hakeem Butler, if he makes it. I think there's going to be so much attention paid to the interior, like in seams and slot. George Pickens going to be left in one-on-ones. Yeah, okay. We seen how well this kid can catch the ball. Like I said last year, one of the smoothest catches I've seen. Like, he catches the ball with so effortless. I mean, these ridiculous catches where he contorting his body and it looks like it's just like slow motion. Dude turned all around. He just him in one-on-ones. I think he's the one that's gonna have an opportunity to eat because it could get to a point where they can't double nobody. And Deontay is gonna remind him why he is I'm gonna say it, a premier receiver in the league. He just gotta, limit those drops. But Deontay's separation and route running, come on, man, tops in the league. So he's still going to garner attention. Pickens is going to get a lot of one-on-ones, and he's going to win the majority of those combat catches. So I think Pickens is the one that has the opportunity to eat. But I mean, it could be anybody. You know, it could. But that's my theory as to why I think it would end up being Pickens, because man, the mismatches are going to be in the inside. Just imagine throwing again. We don't know if it's going to happen, but imagine putting just some random play and we put Hakeem Butler inside and let him run down the seam. Come on, man. With that height, speed. Allen Robinson, I think too, people are underestimating what he could potentially bring to the table as a slot. Man, oh man. That's all I can say. I can't wait to see it. I hope it comes to fruition. All right, man. Looks like the last call of the night we'll take. Then I'll give some final thoughts, and then we have out of here. Area code 757. Oh, that's the Tidewater area. Shout outs to VA in the building. What you got for us?
What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Good. What's going on, man?
Good. Everything's good. I gotta say, I agree with you totally on Pickens being that guy. You know what I'm saying? Next year, he's a matchup nightmare. You know, whatever corner you put on him, even though he's young, he's still very talented. He's crafty. You know, he uses his body, you know, to get position on you no matter what, you know, and then like off the line, you know, forget about it. You're not gonna sit there and press man coverage him like that. You get up on your back, he's gonna run by you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my thing is this: we look great on paper, you know, and I kind of relate that to like you know, those old kit cars back in the day. People had like Lamborghini kit cars with the VW motors in them. You know what I mean? They look nice, but they didn't do nothing, you know, on the road. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Matt Canada.
Yeah.
You know, because the guy, you can only do so much smoke and mirrors. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's you put a hat on a hat and do your job. But if he's calling in the wrong plays on a consistent basis, if I'm a fan and I'm sitting at home or at a bar and I'm literally calling out the plays that this dude is going to run because he runs it, you know, it's like a robot, you know. How can you try to tell me the defensive coordinator on the other side who's getting paid millions can't see the same thing?
Yeah.
So the offense on paper, I love what Khan did. I don't even call him Omar Khan anymore. I call him Genghis Khan, you know, because he came in and straight murdered. You know, free agency, the draft, you know, the whole nine. Do you think, my question for you is this, do you think that Tomlin, or, you know, however they had it hooked up, holding on to Canada is going to be like his downfall? Because I get sick of going in like the Bleacher Report and having all these dudes calling for Tomlin's head and talking about, you know, oh, he messes up drafts or whatever. I'm like telling them, Colbert, look it up. Kevin Colbert, his job is to draft, you know, the players. Mm-hmm. You know, that's his job. They come, no, Tomlin. I'm like, no. I know y'all always want to blame everything on Tomlin, you know, but Kevin Colbert, that's what he's getting paid to do. Yeah, Tomlin might have some input, but Kevin Colbert's job was to do that. So I'm really hoping, and I don't know if I want to get your opinion on it. Do you think that keeping Canada around and these other coordinators that were subpar, let's go ahead and say it, we'll call it what it is, straight up sorry. Do you think that's going to be Tomlin's downfall? Because he doesn't have a coaching tree, you know, to be honest. You know, I know they're looking at that, you know, just like I was hollering at my brother, you know, about, you know, Eric Bieniemy, you know, him being, you know, looking like us. You're talking about, oh, he didn't interview well. Talking about Andy Reid calls the plays and, you know, this, that, and the third. Well, his job was offensive coordinator. Yeah, Andy Reid might override here, there, whatever. Okay, whatever. But they made this man have to go to the sorriest, dysfunctional, you know, organization in the league, Washington, to try to prove that he's head coach, material. To me, that's a setup for failure. You know, I'm just hoping that Tomlin doesn't fall into the same, you know, nonsense. I mean, I like your insight on it. You know, do you think that Tomlin making a mistake, keeping or standing by certain people or not? You know, I really appreciate you taking the call, brother. like what you're doing. You know what I mean? Have a good night.
Man, thank you for the call. This is a great call. And first of all, I always got to show love to my VA brethren, man. Hey, man, y'all already know. Y'all know that's my home state, born and raised. So it's always VA all day, every day. Man. Whoa. All right, so let's attack his question. Let me reply to it this way. This is something that I really would love to know is, does Tomlin have all autonomy over his staff? Reason why I'm asking that, because for many years, a lot of us have felt like it comes from up above for one or two reasons. Main reason is we know the Steelers organization don't seem to fire coaches, right? They just allow these guys' contracts to expire. That's one thing. And when we can pretty much see that from way back. Then also some of us would remember what happened when Dick LeBeau left and they slid Butler in there and it was kind of a conflict there and how that turned out, right? But again, Steelers brass, I'm assuming ownership, don't generally fire these people. They let their contracts expire. So that's one caveat, is that Matt Canada, if I'm not mistaken, he's on his last season. Final season. This will be his final season. So that's the one caveat. However, I am going to agree with you and say, if Tomlin does have autonomy over his staff, then yeah, we got to look at him and be like, what's the deal? You know what I'm saying? Now, I do believe, let me say it this way. I believe Tomlin has the ability to hire. Absolutely. You just go back to the Brian Flores situation and the way Tomlin told the story when he said, he wanted him. He goes down to Art Rooney's office, tells him what he wants to do. Rooney backs him. Boom, boom, boom. So I do believe he has control over hiring. I'm just not 100% sure that he has control to fire. The reason why I say that is because they don't fire coaches. And maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's a belief within the Rooneys all the way back to Dan. Maybe they're just those type of people. You understand what I'm saying? That they don't fire. They just don't renew. So that's why it's kind of hard to answer that question. But let's just assume that Tomlin has control. So let's play the hypothetical. If Tomlin has control and we find out one day that he had full control over who he keeps and retains or what have you, then yeah, we're going to have to point the finger at him, especially if Matt Canada does not produce a better offense this year. And I'm talking off rip. I'm talking about within the first 2-3 games, we better see progress. They ain't got to be the well-oiled machine in the first couple weeks. Still understand that Kenny is a rookie and still understand that his, offensive line changes and yada, yada, yada. But I'm saying by the first few weeks, at least by week 5, if I'm being modest, we all should be able to look and say, yeah, man, it's coming together. Oh, man, he called a good game. We shouldn't be feeling the same way we felt about him last season. I don't want to see that. I need to see progress. Okay, I gave you, when Ben was there, you couldn't do certain things because Ben was handicapped in theory as far as movement. True statement. But we all still feel like he could have found some better things to do even with Ben. Okay, so then we said, okay, you need a younger mobile quarterback. You get that, right? But then we all say, oh, he's a rookie. Okay, now, brother, I mean, the same old story, same old excuses that can't apply this season. I'm sorry. So we need to see significant progress. I won't even say significant changes because if I'm being honest, Matt Canada at times did call a good game or a good quarter or what have you, and we executed well. But what I just don't want to see him do is just stay so locked into whatever the plan is and then don't make any changes until 5 minutes left in the game. Or sticking to something that's not working. That was the biggest issue I had with Matt Canada. Situational play calling and adjustments. That's where he was not great at. So it's not so much that the plays have to drastically change where the playbook is totally different. There's gonna be familiar plays, but I just need to see his play calling performance better. Situational play calling, sticking, like having a real game plan, right? Like route combinations and things like that. Or if you're gonna feature a certain guy and we can see it. I don't want to see any more of those on 3rd and long. Everybody's running comeback routes. Stuff like that. Nah, man. No, let's get a little more creative, sir. So, bottom line, if we find out that Tomlin had full control over firing and he brought Matt Canada back, then yeah, I'd have to do this to Mike Tomlin, even though I'm in favor of Mike Tomlin. But I would have to give him this. He's also a VA brethren. But I'd have to shake the fist at him. Like, come on, man, what's up with that? So, there you have it. All right, man, so let's spend maybe a couple more minutes here. As you can see, my timer's about to go off and we'll wrap up. Any last comments you guys have? I don't really have any follow-up. I said I was going to have some finishing thoughts, but I don't think so. I think that phone call right there was a perfect way to put the show to rest right there. Great question, man. Great call. I really appreciate that. What do you guys got? We'll spend about 3 minutes or so here. I'll go ahead and take the timer off the screen. See, you guys are talking about Butler and LeBeau. Anything else? Oh, okay. Jersey Boy says, so if Kenny playing bad, is that on Matt Canada? No, it's not. It's not. You know, if we can physically see and visibly see that Kenny Pickett is just not playing well, great play call. You know, Kenny Pickett is making a wrong read, throwing into coverage, bad throws. That ain't on Matt Canada. Y'all know I'm fair. If you guys have watched me throughout the season, I'm probably one of the only people who would come on the show after the game and say, nah, man, I think Matt Canada actually called a great game. I'm always going to call it fair. You know, when you do good, I'm going to give you your love. If you do bad, I'm going to give you your critique, your criticism. So absolutely. Absolutely. If he's playing horrible, then yeah, absolutely. What else you guys got? Darren says, hey, who are you excited to see from the draft? Man, that's a loaded question. I'm not going to go with the obvious. I mean, obviously, I want to see what Joey Porter Jr. does. But let's say I'm most excited to see what a guy like Donnell Washington might bring to this offense. Absolutely. Because that's the steal pick of the draft. One of the steals. Him and Trice. Him and Trice Jr. Because, man, I think potentially, we could end up with a dog in Trice, man. And him and Joey Porter Jr. virtually look the same. Height and size and, like, man, could you imagine us getting to a point where we got the two of them on the outside and they handling business? You know, big, long, you know, corners that can run, press, and strong. And, man, that'd be something to see. Like, just imagine over the next couple years, like, them dudes develop into, like, one heck of a tandem. I would love to see that. So, you know, definitely I'm looking at Trice too. But right now, Donnell Washington's probably the guy that I'm excited to see what he could potentially bring, whether that's blocking or in the pass game. Whoa, Robert, you're getting a little I'm just picking with you. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We said Washington and Move could be as good as Gronk and Hernandez. Well, that's wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking. But I will say this. If we're being honest and, you know, God bless the dead, man. Do you guys remember how good Hernandez and Gronk was for about that year or two? I mean, like when you could see that they was about to peak. Do y'all remember how good and how effective that New England offense was with that 12 personnel with them dudes. Because remember, Hernandez was like a tight end / receiver with his. They was nasty. They was nasty. Time stamp it. Okay, I'm not gonna forget, Robert. But do y'all remember that? Them boys was nasty. Just think about it. I know as Steeler fans, we supposed to hate them boys in Boston. Well, New England, not Boston, but same, that whole area, Massachusetts. But do y'all remember how scary they were? Just think about that for a moment. Gonzalez and Grunt was about to be, my goodness. It won't even gonna be fair. David Jones Jr. said, yeah, that was a nightmare. Man, it was, man. They was something else together. I am grateful that we didn't have to deal with that for many years. Let's see. What else y'all got, man? One or two more, man, and I'm going to get out of here. I couldn't even watch when we played. Man, like Hernandez was almost like cheating that tight end, man. I was like, come on. Jay said the cheating Spygate era. Hey, listen, man, like I said, whether they deflated footballs and recorded a practice, man, listen, they still had to go out there and play. You can't take nothing away from what they did. You can't. I mean, I'm just trying to keep it real. You can't take nothing away from what they did, man. Let's just be honest. Man, Trice looking like he might be able to get snaps at safety and cornerback. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to use him. I mean, me personally, I would like to see them just, work him at corner. Let him play his position. I don't think there's a need right now. We don't need him to play safety. I mean, we got 3 safeties strong, and we still got, assuming he makes the squad, you're still going to have Norwood as like a 4th safety or what have you. You Minka, Neal, KZ. We don't need Trice to have to play safety at all. I like to see them work him out, let him play corner, man, and let him earn his hay there. Said, all right, this is the last one. MW says, what about Morgan State pickup? Who is that? Is that the running back? I don't know who that is. Is that what was the guy's name I said earlier? Somebody, Graham? Is that Alfonso? Because I do remember that there was somebody from HBCU that they brought in. I just don't know which guy that was. Alfonso Graham was a running back. But yeah, it is Graham. Okay. All right, cool. Okay. So he's the HBCU guy. Okay, cool. I don't know much about him, man. I didn't even know, he was at Morgan State. But again, it just shows you how intently the Steelers brass has been. Shout outs to Omar Khan. Hats off to Khan, the only NFL GM that went to the HBCU combine. And now they've signed the kid. They invited him to rookie minicamp, and they brought him on. That's commendable, man. It kind of reminds you of, even though it's before my time, it reminds you of, Jesus, why can't I remember his name? You guys, I know y'all going to say blasphemous. I can't even remember his name. Come on, y'all help me, man. The GM, that saw guys like Green and come on, man. What's his name? Come on, y'all. Give me the name. Why can I not remember his name? He's in the Hall of Fame for us. Come on, man. Somebody help me out. Yes, none. Thank you. Why couldn't I remember none? It kind of reminds me of Bill Nunn. Like, oh, God, I'm sorry, Bill Nunn. How could I not remember the name? Don't y'all hate when that happens to you? You know it's something. You see the face and everything. You just can't call the name. Kind of reminds me of that, man. He was smart enough. And yeah, I'm going to say smart enough because again, let's just be honest. HBCUs have always been, looked at with the side eye. And there's been a lot of great players that have come from there, a lot. You know, we have someone on our team that got 4 Super Bowls. Joe Green. You know, it's interesting that I don't know. It's weird, man, that, you know, that, well, I'm not going to go down that road. But again, we know HBCUs has been looked at with the side eye. That's why I respect with your man did Deion Sanders, what he did with Jackson State. And, you know, now he's trying to further his career at a bigger school, and we'll see what happens from there. But come on, man. You know, everybody deserves the opportunity. There's great players everywhere. So you shouldn't exclude anybody, because you never know. And even, you know, even like the MAC, right? Look at how many players we've taken from there. We got 2 Hall of Famers more than likely, Ben Roethlisberger, James Harrison, undrafted, you know, from the MAC. So you should always unturn every stone when you're looking for talent, you know, because sometimes it's all about opportunity. Look at the little school that Antonio Brown went to. See what I'm saying? So, yeah. Good to see the HBCUs, man, get a little bit of shine, man. And it's good to see the Steelers step out there. And that's crazy. He was the only GM to go to that combine. That just kind of shows you still, you know, what kind of league it is, so to speak. But like I said, it's not about that. I'm not going to go down that road. We all family and harmony. You know, we are all in harmony here. But that's very telling that Khan was the only GM. Very telling. But whatever, man. May the best players make the squad, regardless of race or origin. That's how I am. I'm just happy to see everybody get an opportunity. That's it. But all right, man, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, man. Before I do, y'all know what I'm going to do. Boom, I need y'all to do that for me. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification. And that's all I need. That's free. That's free. That don't require a donation or anything. That's free. And thank you for all the donators tonight. And of course, if anybody cares to donate outside of YouTube, I know I hate saying this, but people always say you should remind us at the end of the show. If you feel so free that you want to donate and you didn't on the show tonight, you can do so as well through Cash App or PayPal. The information is in the description. I thank you in advance. But outside of that, man, I had a great time with you guys tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Watch some basketball. I'm going to watch a piece of it, but then I'm going to have to lay it down because I have to get up very early in the morning. But yeah, hopefully your team is still in it, and let's see what they do. Catch you guys later. God bless. Good night. And like always, thank you for tuning in to Terrible Towel Tuesday. Peace.